Freestyle the news! Very demure, mindful of all the drama, keeping everything pure. I take them all to the chapel, I call them mine on a tour. I told her we need a break, she fumbled over the floor like, whoa. Now who can really judge? You like to polish that metal with you won't start to rust. But been talking so much it's time and it's fucking up. Crashing out your spaces like Elon Musk with new Donald Trump. Teach me economics over profit on my groceries. Papers looking skeptical, they're combing through it closely. They like the child credit like an extra shot of dopamine. Mad about a white guy taco joke, Mr. Woke Police. Supposedly you're such a fucking pussy, Ben. Mr. Hollywood, fuck, I'm trying to play pretend. Mommy, daddy couldn't buy the right career like all his friends, and now we Warner Brothers losing credit every chance he gets. Maybe I'm too negative like every poll for JD Vance. Stuck inside the ship so long you feel like an Estella man. Tired hearing liars like I'm watching a new body cam. Flipping on them easy like Ukrainians on Russian land. Wait! Oh well, she died cause we fucked up, but you're Disney plussed up so we're kinda square. The fuck? Monkeypox spiking with some jumps. You said what you said, bitch, your lawsuit is there. Okay, say you entitled attacking. You slurring your chats with whoever keep backing your shit. I look like this horse when you acting shit trashy. Like fuck is you talking about when you bitch. Everybody looking for their prominence. Sometimes you find a ship and then you like, oh fuck, it's Romulus. Identify identities and who you read in politics, and everyone's an activist until they only talking shit. Likes it from their audience. They looking shady like who Matthew Perry calling back when all of it went down. Politics, yeah, and easy for sure. You got me feeling pretty lively when they press me on a tour like whoa. I know that you get it, I know that you get it, I know that you get it. Too soon. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching Freestyle the News. If you like what you heard, please see how I hit that like button. See how I take my cursor, put it over that like button and hit it. Very mindful, very demure. See how I leave a comment on my favorite bar from the rap that just happened? Very thoughtful, very introspective, very demure. Okay, so in case you're wondering what the fuck has been going on with this entire demure trend, by the way, hi, welcome to the breakdown. That is Jools Lebron, a transgender TikTok beauty creator who went absolutely viral with a TikTok saying, very demure, very mindful, kind of talking about her process of going to work, doing different things in an elegant way. And after millions upon millions upon millions of views and the trend going absolutely everywhere, it's completely changed her life.
You see how I do my makeup for work? Very demure, very mindful. I don't come to work with a green cut crease. I don't look like a clown when I go to work. I don't do too much. I'm very mindful while I'm at work. See how I look very presentable? The way I came to the interview is the way I go to the job. A lot of you girls go to the interview looking like Marge Simpson and go to the job looking like Patty and Selma. Not demure.
Apparently LeBron has said that now they can pay for their gender transition since this has gotten so crazy viral and they're not working as a cashier anymore. So all amazing things, and shows some of the positive impacts of social media when it's used in an uplifting way. But very quickly, I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. We have a lot to talk about today, but first, very quickly, we got some brand new merch. It's like I promised, I've uploaded a couple brand new designs to TooSoonCrew.com. Let's run through it. We got the Godzilla Minus Us tee, because really, when you think about it, who are the real monsters in this situation? Along with a little bit of a note for anybody who just starts claiming things are a psyop. Hey, it's not that deep. Sometimes you just gotta tell people who are so into conspiracies, hey, it's not that deep. As well as those dope embroidered FSTN shirts and those Run It Back hoodies. We got more of them. If you don't know what Too Soon Crew is, it's our patron service. We post these videos on there ad-free so you can watch them without any interruptions. We also have special discounts. We also do this little bit of a ticker that we put at the bottom of the screen, which we haven't been doing recently, but we're gonna start up again soon. We also have this great daily newsletter where we can catch you up on all of the news that you might have missed throughout the day. We send that out pretty much every single day. It helps support this show. It helps us do more diverse topics that we wouldn't otherwise get to cover. So head over to TooSoonCrew.com, become a member today, get yourself some merch, and honestly, it all helps, guys. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. But anyway, that's enough of my plug. Let's get into this breakdown. And a lot of stuff happened this week, but I'm kind of going to focus on two pretty big stories overall. I did a pretty long Zed Talks earlier in the week about the giant TikTok civil war that's going on right now. And by the way, that's actually gotten worse. So if you look on TikTok right now, you'll see a pretty robust debate between a lot of different creators about anti-blackness and the situation in Gaza and voting for Kamala Harris. The morality of all of that with different creators attacking different creators. One specific TikTok has gotten some of the most attention though.
Every fucking race in fucking America has oppressed us. Black people also wear a uniform and get on a plane and come to our countries and kill us. You vote the same fucking melanated fucking people into government that signed papers to kill us. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it. You are our colonizers. I do not want to fucking hear it. I don't want to hear it.
That is Rosol. And if you don't know who she is, she's an idiot. But, you know, aside from other things, Rosol is an Arab LGBTQ TikToker who lives in Greece. And she's not the only one. There's been other specific Arab TikTokers who have come out and been very, very critical of African Americans specifically, saying they are colonizers. And it's not only Arab TikTokers.
You using the master's tools and are mad they calling you a colonizer. You using the master's tools and are mad that they are calling you a colonizer. It's like you are using the master's tools and are mad they're calling you a colonizer.
Listen, there's also plenty of people throwing their fire hose at Arabs and Middle Eastern people as well. 100% that's true. But these two people, specifically Rosol and this guy, are very, very much so antagonistic and kind of stoking the flames for a lot of problems right now. And I kind of want to say something before we move on to the rest of the breakdown, but mainly I want to talk about this. There are some very gatekeepy parts of Middle Eastern Muslim culture in different places. It's honestly all over the place. And they get very gatekeepy to people who don't ascribe to their specific version of how to live your life properly, and honestly to other specific cultures in the Middle East. Like if you ask a Pakistani person what they think about an Irani person, you're gonna get an earful of all of the problems with Iranis. And honestly, vice versa. That was like a huge thing growing up that I would notice, is that there's a lot of like antagonism between different camps of people who are Muslim. And yes, sometimes people are cordial, sometimes people are nice in different settings, and yes, of course, when there are black Muslims there and it's Eid, everybody hugs. But when people separate, there tends to be a lot of stereotypes that start to fly around about that other person. But it's okay. It's just, we're just saying. And that's kind of the culture around all of that. And that's the kind of culture that leads to this kind of shit. So when people say there's anti-blackness in those movements, yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes about African Americans, just black people in general, that the Middle East has. It's not just black people, about different cultures in general. That doesn't mean everybody. Listen, not everybody. There are plenty of Middle Eastern people who are like, miss me with that shit. I'm not fucking thinking about that. A vast majority of Muslims and Arabs and everything like that I've met are very, very open-minded. Palestinian people, very, very open-minded, very, very kind-hearted. Everyone is family. But there are certain people who are very tribalistic, like, you know, we have to keep our people close because those people are dangerous. And again, it's against other people who are the same race as them as well. And those bubbles become very insular, and then you get people like Rosol, who's very protective of her diaspora and her identity, but other identities, you know, there's some fucking problems with the way they're going about things. And the empathy that she wants people to show to her diaspora isn't shown to others. That's just part of the culture, which a lot of Middle Eastern people honestly are very frustrated with. I'm frustrated with it. I grew up in that culture, and my mom was also very frustrated with it. And I do that to say this. Culturally, many Muslim people usually will confront the very tribalistic or gatekeepy aspects of their culture, and those people will double and triple down, like, oh, you're not actually a real Muslim, you're not actually a real Arab, you're not really Pakistani, you're a Pakistani American, or you're not really a Pakistani, you're from this section of Karachi, that doesn't really matter, or you're more desi than anything. And so most of the time the strategy is to let those people crash out and expose themselves to the point where people stop listening to them. So listen, just to say, it's not like the Capulets and the Montagues fighting, all right? Okay? You can be pro-Gaza. You can want to vote for Kamala Harris. You can also have issues with a lot of things around this discussion in general. But you have to understand there's an aspect of this culture that is very gatekeepy. And that's what people are running into right now. So anyway, that's my thought. Let me know what you think of the comments. I just wanted to clear that up. Let's move on to an update with the Blake Lively story, because this has kind of gotten insane. Blake Lively has been receiving a ton of comments and backlash since this whole drama with Justin Baldoni over their movie It Ends With Us came to a head. Now, Now, in the past week or so, Lively has been accused of being frivolous with the film's marketing. A film about domestic violence, using it to advertise her hair brand, trying to be all fun and cutesy about it, kind of advertising it as a romantic movie. Oh, wear your florals to the premiere. And just to let you know, this is a huge development on the story we had before, where the main contention was the fact that, hey, there's some beef that's happened between the two. Do you know what it is? And now it's all come to the head with the journalist Kirsty Fla, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, posted an old interview clip of her talking with Lively and Parker Posey around the film Cafe Society, saying Lively's attitude during that interview made her want to quit her job.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about my bump?
You've got two nice ones.
Visually amazing.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, working in
Everyone
digital.
wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would.
I love Jesse's
He has some
suits and
beautiful.
how
That's what I'm saying. His
yes.
And then you notice in LA, like everybody's in cream colors, and all the men are wearing like white and cream, and then you get to New York, and it's a little bit more browns and moodier. And
What do you feel like is the biggest misconceptions about fame and Hollywood in general?
I think the idea that people think that they know you, I think because of how intrusive media is these days, people care so much more about your personal life than they do your work, and if you aren't open with your personal life, then they just make it up for you and share it for you. So I think the biggest misconception I see often is people feeling like they know someone that they don't.
Once again, this has sparked massive backlash around Blake Lively and a ton of praise for Baldoni over the last 24 hours. Oh, look at that. Well, what's that? What's that? Oh, that's fun. So yeah, that's true. Justin Baldoni hired a crisis management team, the same crisis management team that was repping Johnny Depp during all of the Amber Heard stuff, to deal with this specific situation. Very recently, in fact. And around that same time, oh man, a lot of public sentiment has really kind of shifted in this. And listen, I'm not gonna go out of my way to just stand Blake Lively in all of this, right? And act like she's completely like in the right. Obviously, there are some weird things around promoting your hair brand with a movie about domestic violence. Obviously, the book itself is very controversial. Colleen Hoover, by the way, marketed this book very similarly. And there are other issues with the tone of some of this marketing. I get it. But what also seems to be controversial is the rampant disregard for context everybody is trying to milk around this situation. So let's start here. Number one, that interview is from 2014, and I particularly singled out that clip with Lively saying, oh, I like your bump too, because that's getting the biggest backlash. Like, why would Lively say that? But what's interesting about that clip specifically is that it seems so out of pocket with Lively's branding and persona, especially when she's trying to promote things these days too. It's very aggressive, and Parker Posey seems to also be playing into it too. That also seems off-brand for Parker Posey as well. And it also seemed familiar. Like this interview, like specifically this context seemed very familiar when I was watching it. So do you know what was happening during 2014? I dug a little bit, and there was an enormous movement during 2014 within society about the way women are approached and questioned during press tours. What kind of questions interviewers asked, how women are photographed, the way they are presented on magazine covers. It was a huge discussion point about how women are covered in the media. And here's another clip from 2014 you might recognize.
Let's start with the dress. Who are you wearing tonight? Who am I wearing? Yes, Givenchy. I just want to, do you do that to the guys? Yes. It's a thing that's just... It just happens. Like, what do you think is going to happen down there that is so fascinating? I'm going to...
Yeah, Mr. Glam Cam. And look, we put a little tiara on it. Can we get a shot of that silly little tiara?
Yeah.
Can you believe this? Yeah, that's our set. Now, where did the fashion come from, Kate?
There were multiple huge sexism-related scandals about the questions women are asked in the news cycle. Matt Lauer had a huge scandal where he asked the head of GM, Mary Barra, sexist questions, which he then defended because Matt Lauer is a piece of shit. Taylor Swift was asked weird, sexist questions about 1989 and always questioned about her past relationships. Female astronauts were also asked sexist questions. Here is an Anthony Lane profile about Scarlett Johansson published at the time in the New Yorker. Would it be construed as a trespass, therefore, to state that Johansson looks tellingly radiant in the flesh? Mind you, she rarely looks so unradiant, it's hard to say whether her condition, pregnancy, has made a difference. Do you see what I mean? There was also an interviewer who asked a few years ago at some Marvel press junket about Johansson fitting into underwear. Like, bro, there was so much conversation around how interviewers make women out to be these dainty sex objects who just get pregnant and don't have any agency on a project outside of that role. And this interview specifically is at a time when multiple magazines had tried to paint Blake Lively as like a pretty girl trying to be an entrepreneur. It was very well known and put out there. Multiple actresses were really upset with this line of fucking questioning where people just ask about like, oh, how are your kids? How are you pregnant? What are you wearing? So when I see this interview posted after a guy hired a fucking crisis PR firm, I'm a little suspicious. Also, I'm not trying to shit on the person in this interview. Maybe she didn't understand the cultural rift and was just trying to do her best. But everything in this interview says frustration within the culture at the time, especially with the way Posey and Lively roll their eyes. Like, this is, I'm not kidding. This was a huge fucking talking point. It was all over talk shows. It was all over like think pieces. You are welcome to dial your Google back to 2014 and look through news articles. You'll throw a rock and find like 10. But honestly, the fact that these gossip mongers are like, oh, this woman doesn't take domestic violence seriously is a little sick to me. When at the time, the reason she reacted to that was she was trying to shut down questions about pregnancy or women just being homely to be like, hey, we should be asked about the projects we are working on. That's the context. Again, two things can be true. Blake Lively can be a little bit tone deaf in the way that she's marketing this movie with Ryan Reynolds there and a lot of the jokiness. And the film can also have a fraught development cycle because of the people who worked on it and the differing views and points. Also, there can be a coordinated effort to smear Lively because some motherfuckers are mad about how production ensued, and the fact that so many TikToks are running with this interview like it's a cancelable offense without looking into what was going on at the time. Why specifically she would respond in this way when there's so much fucking body language and evidence and other interviews from other stars that are similar to this one with similar questions asked. It's very likely this feels a little bit suspicious. I'm not Blake Lively's friend here, but this sits a little wrong with me. That being said, I don't think you should wear florals to a movie about domestic violence. I also am not the biggest fan of what I've read the book says about domestic violence specifically. There's a lot of people who have huge issues with Colleen Hoover's writing and what she kind of portrays in that book. But again, I haven't seen the movie. Overall, let me know what you think in the comments. Nobody's above criticism, but we should criticize them in context of which they have been. And did you fall out of the coconut trees there? I tried. Speaking of coconut trees, hey, let's move on to the Harris economic plan. Kamala Harris revealed her economic plan this week at a press conference in North Carolina. Harris gave a speech to a much smaller crowd, trying to be more substantive on her policies. And she said she wanted to focus her economic policy on price gouging and trying to bring down the cost of groceries by instituting a federal ban on price gouging. Among the other proposals, she also said she wants to permanently institute the child tax credit and have a $6K credit for newborns. Also, she wanted to give a $25K subsidy to new homeowners. Among other things, she also said that she wants to empower federal agencies to be able to go after bad actors more substantively. And as you know, that's been a little bit of an issue specifically with calling people on their bullshit. Here's the thing. There's been a lot of discussion about these policies. Positive in terms of vision, negative in terms of practicality, but honestly, that's normal and to be expected. Candidates often give these pie-in-the-sky ideas for what they want to try to accomplish in their term if they have the perfect Congress and perfect everything. And at the same time, they have these ideas that a lot of economists and people will say like, that's impossible, that's impractical. But in general, the reaction to her plan was more of the same. It's like some good stuff, some bad stuff, some mid stuff. It is what it is, it's politics. But I did want to focus on a couple specific reactions though, because the Washington Post published some pretty intensive headlines, like aggressively saying, like, what the fuck, Kamala? What the fuck is wrong with you? Am I a joke to you? What's your problem? What's your problem, Kamala? Like almost offended that she even suggested any of this. And one was from the fucking editorial board of the Washington Post about the price gouging. Like, they called it a gimmick. There's also another article similar in tone regarding Josh Barro, also regarding the price gouging policy. And if you're going like, wow, this is kind of interesting, because after conservative outlets like the New York Post picked it up and said like, hey, maybe there's some backlash coming for Harris, I looked at the authors of a lot of these articles, because here's the thing. All of these articles scream, you're ceding to the far left. Remember what I talked about a couple weeks ago? How there are anti-liberals and anti-leftists, right? Who are more concerned about like trying to defeat the other side than specifically what policies and how to move forward. Yeah, these three are like very much so in that camp. And it's interesting because during the speech, Harris kind of heavily hinted towards, in terms of fixing price gouging, not price fixing, but specifically using antitrust laws to try to fight specific grocers and everything from monopolizing and being able to set the prices for food higher than they should be. To be fair, Kamala Harris was actually still pretty vague in the way that she brought about that idea, which is her fault, but that brings up my overall issue. We still have this weird, oh, our party needs to get rid of this side or this side, and then we will reach utopia in our politics. And I think it's such a bad idea and precedent to have. And I hate to use this word because it's a word a lot of people use and I think gets misused a lot. Neoliberal writers who tend to really just believe that they are the adults in the room and they know more than everybody because they write for a big old paper now. And so they'll just talk shit like they are the fucking geniuses of policy and history in the modern world, without understanding like how people at a normal level feel or necessarily what works. They always have this attitude of like, we know more than you normal peasants do. Like, but also, have you read some of their shit? This is a quote from Rample's article. When your opponent calls you a communist, maybe you don't propose price controls. Jesus Christ, what a fucking crash out of an article title. Quote, so what level counts as excessive, you might ask? TBD, but Harris will ban it. That's the thing about price gouging. As has been said of hardcore pornography, you know what it is when you see it. What the fuck is that? That's like at the beginning of the article. Like, you can't write a headline saying that, listen, I am the practical, logical adult in the room delivering a sobered, measured reality, and then make a weird aside about hardcore pornography. Like, the fuck? Are all of Harris's proposals perfect? No. There's some good ideas, some ideas with some real risk, and some ideas that are a little bit vague. But again, I hate this like weird bubble of writers and bloggers who kind of like to shift around and judge candidates like they're an Olympic tribunal while being so insanely out of touch with like reality of how people feel or how people digest information. So look, I'm all for criticizing Harris and her policies. There's even a lot of criticism about the $25K surplus you get for trying to buy as a new homeowner. So for both Harris and for Trump, I feel there should be criticism of their policies, but within context, like I said, and in an effort to try to give suggestions on how to better implement things. I've seen a couple articles like that and they've been great, but I don't think throwing a fit of, oh my God, one wing of the party is trying to take over my candidate is a great reaction. Like, chill. You're Russell Westbrook on the Lakers. Like, do you want to work here or bitch until you're traded? Like, we're on the same team. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I like some proposals. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's fine. It's politics. We'll see what happens. You still got to work to get those things implemented anyway. But anyway, that's our show. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been kind of a crazy couple weeks, a lot of things going on. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Go to TooSoonCrew.com, get some merch. Anyway, my name is Tabani. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all soon. Let's go.